We are back, and I finally got around to seeing Madam Webb. Oh boy, this movie was so bad. I liked Morbius. I thought it was a decent film. Craven had some cringy moments, but for the most part, the action was pretty good. I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson did a good job with the role. Russell Crowe was good in it. I didn't mind that movie. This one, Sony, oh my God. This was so bad. And it wasn't, first of all, my wife and I watched it together. She fell asleep during the film. I nodded off, I counted 5 times where I was doing the head bob stuff. The issues I had was the spoon feeding of information in the dialogue was horrendous. It was probably the worst written film I've come across. Just everything, like, Adam Scott and Dakota Johnson are in their little cubby area eating lunch, and after all, I'm the worst foster child ever. Oh, you were a foster, we get it. Well, I mean, why wouldn't you have been? Because it explained in the beginning of the movie your mother was shot and killed, and you were an infant. So obviously somebody raised you, and it wasn't your parents. I mean, it was just like that. Every other scene was, let me give you a little more information. Let me spoon feed you this, spoon feed you that, spoon feed you this, spoon feed you that. Absolutely horrendous. Dakota Johnson's a good actress. And she completely phoned this shit in, which is okay. And so did everyone else, I felt, in the entire script. They phoned it in. Because this movie was a cash grab. Dakota Johnson probably wants to do some artsy films, and you got to do a cash grab in order to take a lower pay to do a really good script for an indie film. And that's what we have here. There was some weird stuff with this one actor, Tahar Rahim, who played Ezekiel Sims. I don't know. I think he was completely dubbed. His entire dialogue was weird. It didn't flow. Half his dialogue in some scenes were off camera, where he would be walking in the shadows. And I'm going, oh, this guy really probably had a bad accent and couldn't speak properly, was my hunch. And somebody else looped all his dialogue. Or the script went through so many changes, they literally had to pick shots where you couldn't see his face or mouth, and it had to be dubbed. There were moments in the film where his mouth moved weird, like it was CGI. Like they CGI tried to fix mouth flaps on this guy. Again, when Madam Webb's mother shows up with the jar with the spider in it, and Ezekiel is he pulls the gun on her to take the spider, she goes, "Why are you doing this?" And he goes, "Because you can't imagine the upbringing I had." Like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, so you're telling the audience, well, the reason this guy was good in the beginning, he seemed like he was a good guy in the beginning, but now he's turned bad, was all because he had a bad upbringing, and we had to be told at that moment when he had a gun on her, ready to kill her for the spider, that you'll never understand because I had a bad upbringing. What the fuck? Like, again, it's like the writers had to justify the actions in the movie and write dialogue to tell the audience, yeah, he did it because he had a bad upbringing, instead of showing that visually or not showing it at all. No one needed to know this fucking guy's motivations. He's a bad guy. Okay? That's all you needed to know. Like, he stole the fucking spider to take, so he could get the venom out of it so it could make him this superpower guy, whatever. Like, okay, that's fine. That's all you needed to say. Like, none of it, and then all of a sudden, during all this trauma that's going on where they're running from this bad guy, Dakota Johnson's like, you girls stay here. I'm going into the Amazon jungle to find out what's going on. And it like cuts to the Amazon jungle. And you're like, yeah, like, I'll just call up and get a plane ticket to the Amazon jungle and just get on a plane and fly into fucking nowhere, even though she's got the diary with the maps and stuff on it. It's like, really? Like that? That's as far as I fucking got. We never finished the movie. I looked at my wife, I woke her up, and I said, "You really this isn't working, is it?" And she just goes, "This movie's awful." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I've nodded off about 5 times. I can't finish this movie." So we turned it off. It's a shame because I think Sydney Sweeney did a good job with what she had. Emma Roberts, it was like, why was she even in the fucking movie? Other than somebody called in a favor, she had like 3 lines or 4 lines in the movie. Made no sense. You know, Isabela Merced, I think is her name. She played Anya. She did a good job. Yeah, I just like, I'm looking at the cast right now. The doctor, Miranda, this actress Ada Koji, she was literally in the one scene with Dakota Johnson and was like smiling the whole time. Like her boss just died in her arms, giving him, Dakota's like giving him like giving him CPR, which was played by Mike Epps. He's dead. He's dead. She shows up because she's having hallucinations and all this stuff. And then Miranda's like, "It's okay. Just take a vacation. You'll be fine." And I'm going, why is she smiling? Why the fuck is she smiling? Like, this needs to be a moment. So this goes back to the director. The director really fucked this movie up because he couldn't direct. He or she, I don't know who the director was. Let me see. Who was the director of this movie? S.J. Clarkson. Okay, so it was a woman, British television director. This felt like cheap television. No offense, but I don't know if you had any control, S.J., over the script. You might not have. It was bad. It was really bad. I'm sure it was hard to work with this shit. Awful. Madam Webb was just awful. I hope you made good money. I hope you got paid like $1.5 million to do this film, or $2 million. I hope you robbed Sony on this. I hope everyone robbed. Now I get like they have to keep making these movies in order to hold on to the rights. I get it, but this was awful. It was just awful. Adam Scott, I'm sure he was so stoked to be in an MCU movie, hoping it could lead to something else. You know, I'm sure I'm sure everybody was like, "Oh, this is MCU." And I'm disappointed because Sony's really just dropped the ball on all this stuff. And the fact that we only got all these characters in the suit thus far in the movie was the flashback sequence, which was 10 years into the future. A flash forward, I should say. This was bad. So yeah, I don't think we're going to finish it. Really disappointed. They had an all-star cast. I kid you not. You had fantastic actors. Don't know what happened with Tahar, Rahim. I don't know what happened with him because his shit was all fucked up. But Dakota's a good actress. Sydney Sweeney's a good actress. Emma Roberts is a good actress. Isabela Merced is a good actress. You could tell they were screaming to be properly directed or have a good script. They were screaming for it, but they didn't get it. So it ended up just being a paycheck movie. What did you guys think of Madam Web? Holy shit. You know, I waited on this. I sat on this because everyone said it was so bad. But I saw Morbius and I was like, well, that wasn't as bad as everyone said it. So I saw Craven. I said, well, that wasn't as bad as everyone really said it was. Madam Web was awful. It was very, very sad. Very, very. And you could tell, here's another thing. You could tell what were sets. Her apartment was a set. Her interior apartment. All their outfits, like when they were in the jungle in the Amazon in the beginning of the movie, none of their shit looked lived in. Like the guy... Ezekiel, he's got this blue shirt on, buttoned up, cuffed up, and it doesn't look like he's been trekking through the jungle looking for shit. Like everything looked, all the outfits, whether you were an EMS person, everything looked right off the rack. Like they didn't even iron shit. It was just brand new. Undo the plastic packaging, put it on the actor, and send him out into the scene. Nothing looked lived in. And so it looked fake, which made the sets look fake, the walls look fake. They shot it in such a high definition that everything didn't look real. None of the shit looked real. Sony did a disservice to everyone involved in this project by not doing it right. But I get it. It is what it is. My rant is over.